If you read the Mueller report, he makes clear, even in the first few pages of the report, that he states no conclusion on whether Donald Trump and his campaign colluded with the Russians. But what he does reveal in this report, what we found in our investigation.
Welcome to the program, Jeanine Pirro. It is our great honor to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be on your show also. So I'm as excited and thrilled as you are. Thanks.
So we just had a federal prosecutor on, Brett Tolman. He's an awesome dude. And he says that you can bring in all the National Guard you want and you can double the police force. But if you don't have a prosecutor here in the district that is willing to actually deliver prosecutions of criminals, then it'll all be for naught. So I just want to begin. The table is yours. What is going to happen now to criminals in the city of Washington, D.C.?
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm honored that the president appointed me, nominated me to Senate. I'm now Senate confirmed. And just today, the Attorney General swore me in as a confirmed United States attorney. The point that Brett Tolman, who I respect highly, makes is a very legitimate one. And the president has made a decision to do this surge in areas where we've seen a lot of crime, because DC, no matter how you look at it, whether you think crime is up or down, doesn't really matter. There's too much crime here. And 2 years ago, we had one of the highest crime rates in the world in terms of cities. This is not a very large area. There are only 700,000 people who live here, but the crime rate, then the murder rate, is through the roof. So the president's agenda in making sure that we do this surge and go into these areas where there's lawlessness is one that is not only needed because it is an emergency situation, but for me as a prosecutor, I need to get these cases into my office. Can I get a conviction? I can tell you this. DC juries are particularly tough, but not as tough as the judges in DC. There are very, very problematic areas where the DC Council, which is really a substitute for a state government, given the breakdown of DC as a district, has passed laws that make it almost impossible to get legitimate sentences, Benny. So if I have a guy who shoots someone on a bus in the chest with an illegal gun, the judge has the power to give this person probation. 2 years probation, and say go to college. First of all, for the illegal gun, I want him to go to jail. For using it in a public place, I want to add more time to it. And for shooting someone in the chest, I want even more time. But the judge gives him probation. So what we've got here are judges who are inclined, based upon the laws that the DC Council has passed, to literally forgive these defendants. And I'm not even mentioning the fact that I don't have access to 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds who literally shoot people. If they shoot people, but they don't die, Benny, I can't prosecute them. What happens? They go to family court, where the state attorney general has jurisdiction, not me. And the purpose of family court is rehabilitation, and they can get to go to ice cream socials and yoga. Well, you know, given the fact that I've got 30 years as a prosecutor, a judge, and a DA, and this is my wheelhouse, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we have jurisdiction over the young punks who are roaming these streets and literally beating people to a pulp until a police officer accidentally drives by and interrupts it, as is what's happened with the young man who previously worked in the administration under Doge. We've got an intern who was shot in the chest going out for McDonald's in an area that's not a high crime area. This has to stop, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get it to stop, whether it's by getting jurisdiction over these young people or fighting to make sure that judges send people to jail. And I'm taking felons in possession of a gun to district court, where they hand out more severe sentences to make sure that that small core of criminals are sent to jail and taken off the street.
So I would love for you to respond to the likes of Hillary Clinton and the likes of Nancy Pelosi, who's saying, oh, DC's safe, it's perfect, it's pristine. I would never want to live there. We live in our vineyards high up in the hills of Napa. But but it's perfect. It's just like downtown San Francisco. There's just no crime. It's a wonderful place, and that you're all overreacting by bringing in the National Guard.
You know what? Shame on Hillary. Shame on Nancy. I mean, I'm not at all surprised. They're almost not worth responding to. You tell Eric Tarpinian, his parents, who lost him a couple of weeks ago, shot in the chest, just caught in the middle of gunfire on the street. You tell that mother and father and sister that the place is safe. You tell the kid who was just beaten up to a pulp, a broken nose, severe concussion, oh, DC is safe. You tell the 25 teens who were shot and killed in DC in 2024, all victims of color, that it's safe in DC. You go back and tell Hillary and tell Nancy that they don't know what the hell they're talking about. If they want to make crime political, tell them to stay in their own area. Don't come into DC, because we're not politicizing it. We're fighting it the way it should be fought. And all their namby-pamby political ideological nonsense doesn't fight crime.
It's amazing, the statistic that you just brought up. Now, D.C. is a very violent place, but the vast majority of crime actually happens to black residents in D.C., who are the majority here. They're the ones that are terrorized the very most. And I remember living here, Judge Jeanine, and there was a young man who was on his way to football practice. He was 6 years old. And he was shot and killed in a drive-by. They weren't targeting him. They were just spraying the neighborhood with bullets. And this was right next to a ball field. I remember coaching a youth football team and constantly having to run for cover because of gunshots with the children right there. These are 6-year-olds. And by the way, they're all black. And so my question is, for a party that says Black Lives Matter, it's pretty remarkable for them to just brush off the deadly hellscape that is Washington, D.C.
Well, we just had a beautiful 3-year-old girl who was shot and killed, caught in the middle of the gunfire. Look, these crews, as they're called in D.C., have been allowed to run roughshod for a variety of reasons. Number one is the fact that most of them don't come within the jurisdiction of my office. And we're going to change that, Benny. I'm telling you, as sure as I'm standing here, we're going to change that. Otherwise, my purpose here, my being here serves no purpose. Number two, we're going to make judges accountable. We're going to identify those judges who are giving probation for shootings. We're going to make sure that when we get these cases, that they're solid cases sufficient to prosecute. And make no mistake, when I came into this office, it was amazing. This was a neglected office. We're down 90 prosecutors, 60 investigators and paralegals. There literally were contracts that were being signed over by people who signed repeatedly by people who didn't know what they were signing. This was neglect. This is an office where there's no real institutional regulation in terms of this is what we've got to do to tell the police what they're doing wrong. It's kind of like a laissez-faire, whatever. Well, the people on my staff, and I admire them, they understand now they're going to work. We're going to fight the crime. We're going to be accountable, and we're going to make a difference. Otherwise, there's no point in our even being here.
Oh, God. Oh, everyone's just cheering right now, hearing that, because every proud American wants to be able to take their children to Washington, D.C. safely. They want to be able to travel here. There are millions of people around the world that come here to see the seat of Western civilization. And what message are we sending them when you can't even walk down the street safely?
Well, you know, it was Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, who said yesterday, you know, there's so many of the museums and these, these places of historical interest that are free, that Americans can come to and enjoy, but they're afraid to come here. And that's why we've got this push right now. The president is going to make DC safe and beautiful again. And by the way, for those people who say crime is down, that's nonsense. From what? From the 4th highest in the world in terms of a city? What about the low-level crimes, the quality of life crimes? You think anybody's being arrested, Benny, for shoplifting? You think anybody's being arrested for damage to property or to cars, or trying to break into a car where there is no stealing of that car? Let me tell you, I guarantee you there's 25 to 30% of the crime here that's not even being reported because the public knows nobody gives a damn. Not anymore. We're going to change all this. We're going to make people accountable. And in the meantime, I've got to make my staff, several of them worked last night till 11:30, 12 o'clock, putting together stats. But it starts with me. If I'm passionate about this, if I believe in what I'm doing, then they follow. And that's what's good about this office. And that's what's going to make a difference in DC. The police chief, Pam Smith, I work with her. I admire her. And we're going to work together with the mayor to make sure that we make this city safe again. And ideology and politics have no role to play. It's about safety, fighting crime, getting the punks who are making our lives miserable, and taking the lives of innocent minority teens. We're going to make them accountable. And I'd like to, honestly, Benny, I'd like to show you a poster. Can we show them that poster?
Please.
I know it's too big, but we just put it together, Benny, and I want to show it to you.
An exclusive. Now, an exclusive.
Yeah,
live on the show. Here we go.
In 2024, I want you to see, in 2024.
Fine, let's go big here, please.
Can you see this? Let me get out of the way. These are the people who were shot and killed, all teenagers in DC. All African Americans shot and killed in DC. Taya Settles, 3 years old. David Bailey, 14. Darren Shaw. This is what I'm dealing with. No one's talking about this, Benny. I'm talking about it right now. There are no whites here who are teens who were killed. They're all minority community, and no one's talking about them. Now, let me show you 2025. We just put this together last night. I am stunned, Benny. Right now, so far this year, again, all teens, all African Americans, no whites. The whites are shot and they're older. But this whole community is reeling. Their children are being killed. Who's talking about this, Benny? Nobody. And this is only until August. So that's my mission right now. And this is what we're going to change.
Incredible. I cannot wait for you to roll out those boards. Nothing speaks more than to see those innocent faces of those young children that were killed. And I saw it. That's why I had to get my family out of here. I know that you're up against a hard out and you have the most important job in the world right now, but I have to ask about, let's just call it a little more white collar crime, if you would. Brett Tolman, as you know, was just on and he was begging me to ask you this question. So if you wouldn't, if you would allow me just a few more minutes.
Okay.
So that's the low level crime. And we're here with you, and we hope that you get rid of all of it from top to bottom. Adam Schiff, today, there was an FBI 302 that has now been declassified by Kash Patel. It's gone to Congress, and it's about Adam Schiff leaking classified information. It's a whistleblower from his office, and the documents are here, and they're public. And Brett Tolman is saying, well, you listen, only the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. can make a decision on a case like this. And so my question is open-ended. Have you reviewed his documents? Are you familiar with the Adam Schiff's and the criminal conspiracy to leak against President Trump? Do you plan on investigating?
You know what, Benny? I think you know that this is my wheelhouse. And the difference between me and some other people is that I don't talk about what I'm investigating. I don't talk about what I'm doing. When I have the evidence, when I have enough to go forward, you will hear from me loud and clear.
That we know, and that the entire audience knows. Everybody must follow someone who I believe has a charge from God, actually, to clean up our nation's capital. The great Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. Follow her here at her official account. And I think she has millions more on her personal account. But let's make sure that her official U.S. Attorney account gets millions of followers here. She's doing the work to clean up our nation's capital so that it can be a place that all Americans can be proud of. Godspeed.
Thank you. Thank you, Benny. God bless. Bye-bye.